So today's episode is going to be a mix of OG talk, but we're going to really park the car on Creeper. We're doing a really cool fundraiser for Creeper's family. Creeper has been dear to my heart. I've known him for about 20-something years. He's been like a mentor, an uncle, and just really miss him. Yeah, we love Creeper, and we're gonna raffle. We're not gonna raffle. We're gonna sell some frames and some machines that will never be made again. So if you're a collector out there, you want to help with a good cause, we're not asking for free money, but we're going to give you something that's going to be valuable. It's a collector's edition. How long have you known Creeper for?
I met Creeper in either late 75, when I started. I started in the summer 75 with Charlie, and I met him either late 75 or early 76. I forget exactly when he came on to the scene there, but I came to the shop one day, and Charlie introduced me to him, and he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna teach this guy to tattoo. He's a good guy and a good artist and all this, you know." And it was like, "Ah, cool, man," because it was just at that time, it was just me and Charlie working the shop, and we only worked, on the night shift and stuff, and. But he was doing airbrush art and stuff, and I think he'd even done some tattooing, either by hand or with maybe a homemade machine that he had done. But anyway, he was cool, and he fit right in, man. He was a few years older than me and younger than Charlie, Vietnam vet. And he fit right in, man. So I've known him for, 44 years minimum.
And a lot of people don't. Creeper was like a man of few words. He didn't really care for the spotlight. He was kind of like tucked away in the corner. So that's why a lot of you guys may not know who he was and who he is. We'll get into who he was as a world-renowned machine builder. I mean, he used to build machines for the guys like Tom Renshaw, Paul Booth. I mean, I remember going to his studio probably 20-something years ago, having him tune my machines, and I'd see like this list of all these renowned artists and stuff. I'm like, what's that list for? He goes, "Hey, I got to build some machines for them. They've been on this list for a while, 6 months or so."
Yeah.
But so he was around the original Good Time Charlie's in East LA.
Yes.
So he was a part of that history.
Absolutely, man. Worked at the very first shop, and then, I worked with him on and off and on throughout the years, and he worked for me even a year or a couple of years ago. That was the last time that he did.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna talk more about Creeper here. We're gonna get into a quick video to introduce you guys to Creeper in a little bit more of a video formal way. So check out this video, and we'll be right back.
Check it out.
100% of the sale of these machines is going to Creeper's family. So not only will you be helping out a good cause, you'll be taking home a piece of tattoo history. These machines are only available on bishoptattoosupply.com. Grab them before they're gone, because when they're gone, they're gone. Creeper was a mentor to me. He taught me a lot of the old school ways and how we should view the tattoo industry. What's up, Creeper? Hey. Creeper is part of tattoo history. Tattooing is what it is today, especially black and gray, because of guys like Creeper. I mean, this guy was tattooing in the original Good Time Charlie studio in East LA back in the 70s with artists like Shanghai Kate, Jack Rudy, Freddie Negretti, Ed Hardy. This guy is part of the reason that we all do what we do today.
Creeper was the one who taught me how to tattoo and apprenticed me and taught me everything I know. Most of the OGs, in fact, probably all of the OGs of black and gray know his name well.
So Bishop and Creeper collaborated on an aluminum version of his famous coil tattoo machine that he had been making since the 70s. Due to the untimely death of Creeper, we were never able to see that project through. We have about 60 or 70 machines left. If you're a serious collector, I would collect one of these pieces, because once they're gone forever. Be a part of tattoo history today and a part of the old tattoo family just by supporting a good cause in Creeper's family. So thank you guys very much for your support.
So it's kind of vague.
Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Just again, wanting to really introduce. I think that we've talked about this before. Bishop, myself, we have a responsibility as we build a platform of tattoo machines and supplies. We have a responsibility to make sure that we are the gatekeepers of history, that we tell the stories that others haven't. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Creeper and some of the old school ways. Creeper was also a world-renowned machine builder. We're talking in a time when there was very few machine builders in existence in the whole world, right? Because the tattooing community was much smaller back then.
Of course.
So I remember walking into his studio once to help me tune one of my machines, because I used to go to him all the time 20-something years ago. Help me tune these. You guys already know I'm a rotary head, but when I would occasionally get a nice coil, a Jim Dandy or a Catfish Carl or a Creeper or a Creepster, he would help me tune it. And then one day he just was like, I'm going to show you how to tune these machines. That way you don't have to come down here every week. And he showed me how to tune a pretty damn nice coil machine. So, but I remember looking at a list in his old workshop, and it had all these well-known artists at the time. And at that time, there was probably a couple of handfuls of famous artists around the world. Guys like Philip Liu, Paul Booth, Jack Rudy, Tom Renshaw, and he had all these cool names on there. I'm like, man, this guy builds machines for some of the best tattoo artists around. So I could say that I've been influenced as a machine builder greatly by Creeper. What do you know about Creeper and his machine? When did he get into building machines? So he started tattooing in the 70s.
Yes, yeah, around either 75 or 76. And I don't know when he actually started building machines, because we weren't working together at that time. And but I think it was definitely during the period where I was still in East LA, because I was over there for almost 10 years, and so it was in that time. I'd say late 70s, early 80s maybe.
Yeah, he's and there wasn't a lot of back then, Jack. How many good coil builders were there in the world?
Well, there wasn't that many, because again, the amount of tattooers worldwide was a fraction of course of what that is today.
How many? This is a question I wondered. How many tattoo artists do you think were around in the world? Like, what's your guess? Like in the 80s, like early 80s.
I don't know, but I tell you what. When I started, I heard this too, and this is something I never even thought of. Charlie or I never thought of this. But at the time that I started working for Charlie in the summer of 75, there was I heard this much later, about 300 tattoo shops in the whole country.
Jeez.
So that means maybe there, a guesstimate would be maybe there was 1,000 tattooers in the whole country in 1975. Jeez. Just to give you an idea. And of course, this is just something that never crossed my mind, and I don't think it ever did for Charlie either, as to how many, because again, it's all relative, because we're just trying to pay the rent and put food on the table,
living an outlaw life.
Well, and then having some fun doing it too, because I never thought when I met Charlie, and I was 19 when I met him at the Pike, and I just never thought that someday I'd be working with him, for him, and tattooing, making a living doing that. I just that was just
It's crazy to think about that. Let's go deep with the history. So in the 80s, maybe like mid 80s, who was famous at that time, like in the mid 80s? And then we'll go into the 90s and stuff, because right now, and the reason why, let me tell you why I'm asking this question. There's so many artists in the world, good ones. There's so many famous artists. There's so many Instagram famous artists. But I'm curious, like, who was famous? Who should the audience know of? Because I bet you they might not even know some of the names you're about to say. But who was the Nico Hurtados at the time in the 80s?
Well, okay, for one thing, first thing comes is Don Ed Hardy.
Yeah.
Ed Hardy was a name that I even heard of when I first started out. This mysterious guy, and I got to meet him. Charlie and I got to meet him in '77 at a convention in Reno, Nevada. but also the real old timers of the day, like Bob Shaw, Burt Grimm, Colonel Todd, Paul Rogers. See, I met some of those guys at that show as well, and they were legendary. But so again, Bob Roberts, Mike Malone, Sailor Jerry, who had died the same year that I met Charlie. He died in '73, so I never got a chance to actually meet him and I think Philip Lou, who was real young at that time, I think, although Felix was tattooing, I believe. I don't know what year Felix started, but I remember that whole Lou family, Lou's Family Iron, and stuff started back in the day. So, but you just got to remember that tattooing was, it's still a small, microcosm of the planet, but it was much smaller then. And so, but those are some of the guys I remember that were, guys, also Cliff Raven, Don Nolan, were famous American tattooers, and some of the only guys that were doing a respectable Oriental style of tattooing, Japanese style. And there was only a handful of guys that could pull that off, because, when I started tattooing, there was basically only two styles: take it and leave it. Oh no, well there was that, but really though there was what we now call traditional American, traditional style. We called it Pike style because that's what they did at the Pike. So that's just what we called it. And then there was for the most part a phony Japanese style, because there was only a few people that could pull that off.
That really studied the craft.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Ed Hardy.
Like Ed Hardy and Don Nolan and Cliff Raven and a few guys.
These guys were going to Japan to study it too.
Yes, exactly. And but that was it. If you can imagine, there was only two styles.
It's
at that time.
It's crazy to think about. There was no realistic color portraits back then. There was no there's no biomechanical back then, and I think that was
science fiction, stuff strictly.
And I think one of the reasons why I appreciate, love, and respect so much guys like Jack in the old school ways is it takes a long time to refine something. It takes decades to refine a craft, right? And it's like, I always use this analogy. If I'm going to go and pitch a ball at the fair, those little machines to see who can throw the ball faster, I want to go second, because I want him to go first, because I'll know what speed to beat. And that's just how it is. Everyone compounds and builds on top of the last person. That's how science got to be what it is today. Technology, same thing. It's like you go so far that another generation picks up where you left off, and then they take it to another level. So every decade, tattooing became more refined, the tools became better, and so it's really important to take notice of guys like Jack, guys like Creeper, guys like Ed Hardy. They've paved 3 or 4 decades, for some of you, 3 to 4 decades of hard work, so that now you get to stand on the shoulder of giants. But I'm here to point out that you're standing on the shoulder of giants, because a lot of you guys out there don't know that you're sitting on the shoulder of giants. You actually think that you're walking on your own 2 legs on the street that was paved by yourself, but that ain't the case. And I'm not doubting you guys. I'm not hating on anything. It's just I preach respect. I preach that you guys need to know the history of tattooing. You guys need to respect the elders of this community, because man, they're dropping away, man. We just lost a couple this last year besides Creeper, So
yeah,
it's just and there's nobody like the old school guys. I hate this. I'm lucky to have whiffed an essence of these guys, Jack, Creeper, just different old school guys that I've hung out with and talked to over the last 27 years of my career, and I've absorbed it like no other. I've appreciated it. I've looked at it like, why would anyone not want to sit down and talk to a guy like Jack or Creeper or Ed Hardy if you get a chance to? But respect. You guys respect your elders, know your elders, do the research. When I teach people how to tattoo, they don't even get to touch any equipment until they've already told me and figured out who's who. From the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s. Know who you're hanging with, know the foundation. Any advice you can give in a pleasant way. Any advice? So there's a world of tattoo artists out there, right? And they've sort of paved their way. I recently had a guy, and I won't mention any names, he called the old timers dinosaurs. And so I've heard this sort of idea of, hey, we're the younger generation. It's time for us to do things our way. And I get it. To an extent, there's a right way to do that, right? As long as it's still showing respect to the elders. But what kind of advice can you give some of the tattooers of today about the craft and about the spirit of tattooing, on how to preserve it?
Well, first of all, to all the youngsters,
and be nice, Jack. Be nice to these guys. Listen,
I'm going to give it a. I'm going to give it a shot.
Somebody get him a piece of candy.
I can't promise anything, but I'm going to give it a shot. First of all, though, see, what a lot of youngsters never realize, and we're all accused of this when we're youngsters, is that if you're lucky enough, someday you too will be a fucking dinosaur. Okay?
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough and you don't die young and you're a pretty corpse or whatever. So that's something that, I know that never crossed my mind, when I was real young, because you're just busy doing all your youngster shit. And so you don't think about that. But again, so, if you die early and you've got a disease and you know that it's curtains for you, well, you may have time to reflect on that. But if you go suddenly, like a lot of people do, you just don't think about shit like that. So when somebody says, "Oh, these guys are dinosaurs," it's like everybody's going to be a dinosaur at some point. Again, if you're lucky enough to be a dinosaur, but you want to be a dinosaur that's in, that you're in good shape for the shape you're in, and all that kind of stuff. But so again, my advice to tattooers has always been, hey, when you are going to do something, when you tattoo somebody, always do the very best that you possibly can, because then you'll never regret looking at something, because you're always going to, at some point, knock machines over and stuff, I did that on purpose. But you're always going to look at stuff that you did, many years in the past. Again, if you're lucky enough and going like, oh, wow, I could do so much better than that now. But also, if you know that the day you did that, the time you did that, it was the very best that you could do, well, then you won't regret it and go like, well, I could have done better. Because that's just, I think a regret that you don't want to have, is like, I could have done better, but I didn't, for whatever bullshit reason.
Tell them what you said to my son downstairs a little bit ago. I like that. You said, don't do every tattoo. You said, do every tattoo the best and consistent.
Exactly, because I've heard some people say like, oh, I want to make every tattoo I do a little better than the last one. Well, that's great, except for the the 10 you did last, because now you're trying to make every tattoo better. It's like, no, that's bullshit. Just try to make every tattoo the best you can make it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You're going to get better, hopefully. But
by doing that.
Exactly. But don't try to like make this one better than the last one, and then the next one better than that. It's like,
be your best every time.
Just do your best you can every single time. Your customers are going to be happy. You're going to be happy. And that's the best thing you can do. Also, my nice advice to up and coming tattooers is, nice. Please do something else. There's way too many of you out there. It's so saturated. It's just Shitsville personified. Because yes, too many good, too many mediocre, too many bad. It's not that, I know a lot of youngsters think that they eat, sleep, and shit tattooing. It's like, yeah, that's great. There's still too many of you. Do something else. Maybe the COVID thing has taken care of some of that. I don't know. But then unfortunately, it takes care of, in a bad way, some veterans out there that could maybe not make it through this shit. So maybe this is going to weed out some of the people as far as numbers goes, because it's like, this is as bad as nail spas. You know what I mean? There's 2 or 3 on every corner, and it feels like there's tattoo shops on every fucking corner.
So check this out, Jack. I got a question. This has to do
Go
with
ahead.
what you're saying.
Ask me that question.
James, you got a question?
No, actually, I was just letting you know that we have Laura Espinoza, and we've got his niece, Erin Mendoza. They're
tuning in?
They're watching.
Laura, how are you?
In?
How are you, Laura? This is a great honor for us to do this for your husband, Creeper. We love Creeper. Every time he would come in, right? And we got one of his apprentices here, Jason. I'm going to pull you in here in a second, Jason. But Creeper was just a lovable guy. I mean, if you look at him at first glance, he looked like he'll rip your head off. And we're talking about
a lovable. Would you say he was a lovable grouch?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
He
yeah,
was.
like he was a Vietnam veteran. I mean,
Yes,
he was a man's man. I mean, he once told me about a story where he shot a dude that was trying to rob him at a tattoo shop. He told me at the anniversary party. He said he pulled out his gun out of his shoe and
just
protected himself.
Just put a cap in his ass is what we're trying to say.
This was a last of a dying breed of the type of people he was. He was a man's man, a machine builder, a tattooer. He came from an old school lineage. I call it
absolutely
the Good Time Charlie lineage. And remember,
Yes.
this was a time when there was no fine black and gray smooth tattooing like some of you guys are doing right now. Again, you guys, myself included, are only as good as we are because we've had guys like Jack and Creeper pave the way for a couple decades before we got on the bandwagon. And again, if you follow my analogy of every decade, whoever picks up that torch automatically becomes better because they now know what that last person was able to accomplish. That's the foundation they built their legacy on. These guys built their foundation on nothing. There was no tattoo legacy. There was just an idea, a history of tattooing that was really a foundation that belonged to different continents, right? Like different tribes and stuff. But these guys paved the foundation for, American tattooing, primarily black and gray, one of my favorite styles.
Yeah, we started doing that, and it's funny because again there was basically only two styles of tattooing back in the day. American traditional, what we call that now, and Oriental, Japanese style. And then we started doing fine line, single needle black and gray, and that was in part because we both really liked that style, but the biggest part of it is because of where we were, because we were in East LA. Because had we opened up in Hollywood or Long Beach or any other place, it wouldn't have been that. It wouldn't have been the same because it was our customers that asked for it.
Yeah.
So it was like, it just so happened, well, fuck yeah, we love doing that. So it was perfect for us.
And for those of you tuning in, I'm going to ask Jack Rudy some single needle techniques here in a few minutes. So please listen up because you may not ever hear this again.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer it, but I'm going to make up something that sounds reasonable and believable.
Here's the cool thing. Here's the cool thing about his answer. The truthful answer doesn't mean you're going to figure it out because the hard work is 99% you figuring it out, you actually doing the tattoo. And I always say to people, I give advice when people ask me on how to tattoo because I know that they'll never be able to pull it off unless they work their fucking asses off. And if they work their asses off to pull off what I told them how to do, then they deserve it. I want to show off a couple of cool machines. So we're going to be talking about Creeper a lot through this episode because this episode is dedicated to Creeper. And again, Creeper, he was the old school artist that was doing black and gray, fine line, realism back in the 70s, when I was born, basically, really. So it's like, it's crazy to think about.
It's funny that you mentioned, going back and paving the way, because you look at, even athletes today. LeBron James credits Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan credits Julius Erving back to Wilt Chamberlain.
Proudly.
That's
proudly.
right.
And with
as it should be.
Absolutely.
As it should be. Because, you don't want those veterans, you don't want those names, the people that started that, the people that, really paved the way, for the people that are playing now. You don't want that memory to be lost.
Absolutely.
And so, like, that's a good analogy, James, because I think that in, like, professional sports, these guys proudly explain to the world who is their favorite person or their inspiration.
Yeah, who was their hero and inspiration when they were young.
I don't hear it enough in the tattoo world, and I think that's what I want. I want to personally see you guys thanking guys like Jack or Ed Hardy or whoever your favorite style is. Could be the Philip Lou the Lou family, Irons family, but Creeper, he helped pave that way for black and gray tattoo artists. That was his style. He was doing this stuff way before most of you guys were born. Right. And look, again, Creeper was the type of guy, right, Jason? He didn't want the spotlight. He was just kind of like a quiet hermit, right? He just laid low in the cut. I would invite him to parties and stuff. You guys don't need me there. I'm like, Creeper, if you don't come, I'm going to be sad. All right, I'll show up. And so I really want to shine a light on Creeper because
He did make it out to our 45th anniversary
cool.
party. It was in late January, and I'm really, really glad that he did. He had a really, really great time. And there was, there was a few of us old timers around there, and I know he had a really good time. He was smiling
The whole time
he was there.
Yeah,
So
the whole
I'm really
time.
glad he came out to that, because we had no idea, as did he, that his life was going to be shortened
Yeah, it's
to how it was.
And look, it's up to guys like us and people like you to now know who Creeper is, right? I don't even want to say was, because the spirit's alive, and it's up to people like us and you guys to keep his spirit alive. And look, I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about the GoFundMe account. So originally we were going to do a GoFundMe, but I've noticed in the tattoo industry, there's a lot of people that don't care. They don't care. They're, oh, it's just an old timer, no big deal, right? And so I said, you know what? Let's do something where we can go fund ourselves, type of thing. So let's not ask for money to help Creeper's family. And look, here, let's face it, the money that we're going to raise, it's not going to set them up for life, but it's going to help as they figure out their lives. I mean, he just passed away a couple months ago. And so what we're doing is we're saying, hey, look, we got these machines that unfortunately we never got a chance to launch because it was untimely passing, but we have some coil machines, and not a lot. James, how many do we have?
Let's see. I believe we have 20 machines built, and
Okay.
then we've got, I think, we have a few of just the frames, but
Okay.
we have some that were built. Again, these were not released.
So these right here, let me know when you got the camera on this bad boy here, because I'm about to show this off. Okay, boom, look at that. So this is built off of his original iron frame Creeper machine. And then over here we got, I'm looking for a Creepster. So we also have a Creepster frame. I don't know if I have it up here.
Yeah, I don't think we have the
But he had two machines he was famous for building. It was a Creeper and a Creepster. One was a little smaller than the other. One was for lining. Another one was for shading and packing. So look, we got a couple of cool colors. There, like I said, there's only 20 of these left that are fully built. Okay. And again, these aren't tuned. So if you're going to buy them, you could tattoo with them, but you're better off finding an experienced coil tuner to tune them up for
Unless you happen to be one yourself.
Yeah, which if you are, you should be buying a
That's
couple
right.
of these. This is a part of history.
Absolutely.
100%
Collector's
of the
items.
sales, we don't keep anything. This is all going to Laura, Creeper's wife. Here's some frames. We have some frames that we don't have all the other stuff for. So we're going to sell these. These are $49. There's 93 of these, James?
I believe so. Yeah, we have the various colors.
So look, we're asking for your help. I'm asking for your help. Please support a good cause. These are $50 for a frame that's going to go down in history, something that will never be made again. It's a piece of history. For $295, you get a fully built machine. Again, it's untuned, but it's just this is a beautiful piece of history. And in fact, I got a little gift for Jack for coming today. Let's go over here. Jack,
Uh-oh.
what's your favorite color? Someone told me it was pink, but I'm not sure if I should believe them or not.
You should not believe.
Okay.
You should not believe those nasty rumors. I don't know who's talking that shit.
So I shouldn't open this.
It's
then.
fake news.
Okay.
is
Okay.
what it
I heard
is.
about that.
So
what
you don't like bubblegum pink.
What is your favorite color?
They only, pink is good for bubblegum and a few other things. Pink's a good color. It's not one I wear personally, but it's a great color. But actually, I like a lot of different colors. But maybe you're thinking that purple is one of my favorite colors, perhaps. Maybe.
I just may have got it right. So before I give you this machine, this is from Creeper. This is from myself and from Creeper. Creeper admired you. I've had so many talks about Creeper and Jack Rudy with Creeper. I remember when we aligned we did a planetary alignment. We had Creeper down here, Jack Rudy, Good Time Charlie, and of course the infamous Esteban Oriol, who shot footage that day. Do you remember
That's infamous.
that? That was like 4 planets aligned.
Yes.
If you consider me a small planet, that's
that's
5.
almost like an eclipse.
That was. So we thank God for
Or
that
something.
day. We shot some awesome footage.
that was really
Shout out
cool.
to Esteban Oriol for that.
Yeah.
He's a legend. So this is from us to you. We only had 2 of these left. Go ahead and crack it open.
Wow. All right. I'm going to do just that. All right. Check it out
So
here.
bubblegum pink is off the menu, I guess.
Probably. Oh,
but
look at
purple
that.
is not. Purple is on the menu.
That's super cool, man. And that is
You got the
the
Creepster.
legendary
There's only a
Creepster.
few of those.
Creepster. That's cool.
We'll put a thumb screw on the front too here.
Yeah, it might help
Hold stuff in place.
steady the tube
Yeah, yeah.
in there, you know, instead of it, you know.
see the.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Let me
Yeah.
show this out there, Jack.
yeah, that's
Give it
good.
to me,
That's-
it's
that's-
mine.
That's very cool. Hey, keep your hands off my machine over here.
Give me that machine over here.
Hey.
Jack.
That's that Beatnik purple.
Beatnik Purple.
Yes, it is.
You know, one of the things I admire about Jack is we share the same favorite color. I once had a purple oldie and a purple room where I played my drums. I told you that,
Did
right?
you say the purple oldie?
I had a 50. Yeah, I had a Chevy Deluxe, 1950 four-door, purple with purple
A
ghost frames.
1950
Chevy Deluxe.
four-door.
Yep, four-door.
Why'd you get rid of it?
It's a long story. I'll tell you later. I got it stolen from me.
Is that what
Yep,
happened for
yep.
real?
So, yeah, I'll tell you the long story
Okay.
afterwards. You will feel sorry for me.
You hope.
Tweakers suck. Okay, so Jack. This is Jack's machine.
That's
now.
very cool, man.
So
Thank
look-
you, Creeper.
Oh, and check this. Yeah,
And thank you, Franco.
and very, very
That-
appreciated.
that's really cool,
This right
man.
here. Let me show this machine off. Jason brought a machine. So I'm gonna just be honest with everyone. Jason brought this machine. This is an original iron frame Creeper machine.
Wow.
Jason, how old do you think this one is?
Man, maybe a little bit over a decade.
Are we able to get a camera on him from the back? Or-
He's on camera.
Oh,
with
you're on
us.
camera?
Yeah,
Okay,
he's on
okay,
camera.
okay.
He
There
is.
we go. Okay.
Well, damn.
There we go. So, Jason, introduce yourself. So, let me just, before you introduce yourself, let me pre-introduce yourself. Creeper loved you. He still does. I know that he looked at you like a son. And when you texted me what happened to him, that was very tough for me to hear because we've lost a lot of people. When I heard that Creeper passed away, man, it's even to this day, it's just a tough subject, you know. And I could only imagine how it is for you guys because you saw him a lot more than I did. I was lucky to see him maybe once a month, once every 2 months, you know. But so you were very special to Creeper. Tell us a little bit about you.
I met Creeper probably when I got into college. I dropped out to apprentice from right around the corner from Tattoo Land at Autumn Moon. Maybe we started off for 2 days out of the week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And it just bloomed from there.
Tell us some fun factoids about Creeper. You said earlier he was like a really jolly guy.
To everybody, I think everyone kind of looks at him like tough guy, mean dude, came from the war, recon, but to me he was super dope. Always cool, looked out, always made sure I was cool. I can call him anytime, so I thought that was pretty cool of him.
And look, he's a Vietnam vet, man. He fought for our country. You
Yeah.
know, let's really park the car there for a second. He was a
Absolutely.
Vietnam vet. What do you know about his time serving in the military?
From what I know, when he served in the war, how he got his name Creeper, that's all I know. Kind of like he got his name Creeper from hiding in the trees, sliding down, and going hand-to-hand combat.
Damn.
That's pretty much.
See, I just learned that. That's just that's a deep story right there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many of you guys out there are getting hauled off to war at age 18, man? Like that was a crazy time that I can't even relate to.
Exactly.
But I mean, he was a man's man, you know.
Yeah, he was a Marine, by the way.
I heard you fancy the Marines.
Yeah.
Were you a Marine?
Yes, I
Is
was.
that-
I was a Marine also. I went in. I just missed Nam because I wasn't actually
Salute.
old enough to go. But I went in the Marines in '73, right when the Vietnam War was really, about over, really winding down, and then, like I say, I met Creeper in '75 or '6. And so we had that in common as well too, and he had done one or couple tours over there, and that is how he got his name, because he was creeping around, and he was he was after them Viet Cong, and he got some.
Yeah, he was.
He got some, and that's how he got that name.
Creeper's that's an earned name right there.
It was earned for him, yeah, for sure.
We don't believe in war. I mean, it's just it's what you got to do sometimes when back then you had no choice. You could leave the country like some people did, but
right.
he didn't. Creeper didn't.
Or you could say that you had heel spurs or.
Yeah.
There were different things that people did to escape the draft.
But guys like Creeper, man, it's always like, for me, my grandpa was in World War II, so I have an appreciation for people that fought on the front lines for our freedom. James, do you have any?
Actually, no. Laura wanted to confirm that he was a Marine in Vietnam from 67 to 71.
67 to 70. That's a long time.
Yeah. See, and that was to 71, and see, that was 2 years before I went in. But what was a trip too is in boot camp. They were threatening us in boot camp because they knew that Vietnam was over, and even though most of the platoon got assigned infantry 03, there were a few of us that didn't, that had something else going on that they thought they could take advantage of. But anyway, they were threatening in 1973 about going over to the Middle East. And that was way before anybody actually went over there.
That's crazy.
But that was just looking back on that was like
interesting.
Wow, man! Like how could they know that?
Yeah, it's probably pre-planned. It's probably like fashion. It's pre-planned 20 years ahead of time.
Man, but I just
Laura, if you can chime in on any other fun like factoids about Creeper as a tattooist, as just a human being, feel free to comment. James will be looking out for your comments and stuff, and we'll share anything that you bring up with him.
His favorite color was purple, just like Jack's.
Yeah. See,
I knew there was something about that guy that was good.
Yeah,
was
like
cool.
That. Yeah. So here's what's cool. Here's what's cool about this machine. And look, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Jason brought this in, and he said, "Hey, look, I'm going to donate this to raise money," and he's wanted to auction it off. He wanted to auction this machine off. So this is an original iron frame Creeper. This might even be a Creepster.
Let's
might
see.
Be the Creepster. Yeah, this. Yeah.
Is it? Yes, it has the short coils.
Yep.
It does not have it stamped.
That's a Creepster.
But it is a Creepster shader.
Yeah.
And
that thing is special.
And I can tell that this will shade all day.
So here's what we're gonna do.
This will put you on the shady side of the street. Right, is what I'm saying.
Slim Shady. Okay, so he brought this in the auction. He brought this in for us to auction off, but here's the deal. It's mine. I'm buying it.
You were thinking about auctioning it.
Yeah,
and then you thought better of it and just thought, I'm just going to.
You know what? I'm going to buy this machine. Like this is. I feel good about it. Normally, you guys know me. I'm a giver, but not today. I'm taking this shit for myself. You cool with that, Jason?
Hell yeah.
I'll pay the top bid. I promise.
Sounds good.
This is mine.
Yeah,
this is dear to me. Really dear to me.
Cool.
I asked Creeper for this machine maybe 2 months, 3 months before he passed away when he was here last.
And he said no.
And I look at this as a sign of him giving it to me. Swear to God, I do. This is like today he says yes.
He said no.
Today he says
I don't think so.
He used you as the messenger. So you're kind of angelic today, there, Jason.
There you go.
But here's the thing. I'm buying this one. I got quite a few of these myself. So hey, man, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Are these machines available right now, James?
They are. They are on the website.
Look,
we'll go ahead and put. I think Gabe will go ahead and put the link up on the comments here.
Okay, great.
We'll get that up there for you guys.
And look,
shortly.
I'm not trying to talk you guys into buying this, but I am. So fucking go buy this machine right now, because here's why. This is something, and I'm not saying this is the right reason to do it, but once these go down in history, you may be able to sell it, in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, for a lot more. I mean, look, this is a collector's edition machine, and a lot of you guys out there don't collect machines like we used to back in the days, or I still do. You shouldn't sell your machines, right? Like back in the days, Jack, I remember going to old school dudes' shops, and they would have fucking 2 or 3 drawers full of machines.
Yeah.
They would never, ever get rid of their machines.
Well, we got a question actually from our friend Scott Haggerty, who wants to know what is Jack's most prized tattoo memorabilia that he owns.
He's got a lot of cool stuff. I've seen it.
I know.
I do, man. That's a tough one because I'd have to really think about that. But because I've got original drawings from people like for example, Greg Irons, a great tattooer and artist and tattoo artist, and I've got an old Sailor Jerry machine that was built by Paul Rogers. And Brian Everett and I own a pair of Paul Rogers machines, a liner and a shader, that were built in 1951.
Damn.
So I've got some really really cool stuff, but I don't know. I'd have to really think about that as what is But those are some of my prized possessions. I've got original art from Ed Hardy. I've got some real cool stuff that's very dear to me.
What can you say about why people should collect something like this? Like from your perspective, what makes a machine like this a collectible item?
Well, because it's a piece of history, made by an old school tattooer that learned machines early on and really liked doing that, and of course he's gone now. He lives on in memory, but physically he's no longer with us. And I mean, and these things, I mean, they're so simple. There's basically one moving part, and if you don't know. Even if you don't use coil machines, you should know how to use a coil machine. Mm-hmm. You should know the basics on how to tune these, and it's not difficult, to learn that stuff. And it is, it's a piece of history because there's never going to be any more made, especially by him.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that any collector should want to have.
And even the frames, like
and the frames too, because they're cool. If you build coil machines, well, you can get the the different parts and build it up yourself, or have somebody do it for you.
I'm glad you said that because we've had a couple questions. What do I do with the frame? I'm interested. Well, you can do two things. You can frame the frame.
You can. Then you can say, "I was framed."
That's like the triple F right there.
That's some old school shit.
That's the triple frame you just said right there.
Exactly.
And it starts with an F. I think you're onto something.
Yes, it does. I think
Joe Rogan, you got nothing on Jack Rudy. Nothing. Anyhow, these right here you can frame. You can put them in a light box or something cool. I would do that if I were you. Or if you know...
Hey, you know what? You could wear it as a piece of jewelry. You get yourself a nice chain over here. And people will be like, what the fuck is that? And you say, hey, I'd like to tell you.
Calm down.
But I'd have to injure you if I did. Not kill you. I'd just have to injure you badly, severely. And so we're not going to get into it. But yeah, because it's a great conversation piece too.
Yeah, and what's cool about this, if you do know a machine builder, a coil machine builder, you can have them outfit this to work. They can put some coil. An experienced machine builder can do it.
Because with these frames also, see, we'll make sure that you have, if you do want to make the machine functional, we'll make sure you have
exactly
your
the post and the thumb screw.
Yeah, your little tube vise thing on here and stuff, so you don't have to make that yourself. Yep. And everything else though is you can use
standard stuff that any coil machine builder has.
Exactly.
So again, there's 93. This is probably going to hit tens of thousands of artists out there today, right? But there's 93. So. We also have some stickers and some cool things we'll put in the bag, a custom bag that we made. So we had fun with this project, and again, Laura, we love you. We love Creeper. This is the least we can do.
That's right.
Look, man, women, tattoo artists from all around.
It's not the least we can do. Yeah, we're going to do more.
Yeah, we will do more. So, but again,
because a lot of people, when they say it's the least I could do, it was the least they could do. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying.
I do.
I thought you might.
And look, this episode is about Creeper. This is about OG tattoo talk. But what it's really about is leaving you all with an essence of why I feel lucky to be able to be in a position to do this. Why you guys should be in a position to respect and really know your history. Like, we all have the internet on our phones. You guys can spend an evening researching tattoo history if you wanted to. It's all out there, right? There's a lot that isn't, but there's a whole bunch that is. So I encourage you to know your roots, especially Americana tattooing. If you're a black and gray artist, learn some more about Jack. What was the documentary, Tattoo Nation? If you haven't seen Tattoo Nation, that's a huge shortcut to really understanding the story of black and gray. So check that out. I'm sure you
it's
guys
a very,
have.
Very good video.
But I bet you a
Very
lot
good.
of you haven't. So Tattoo Nation, James, you got one over there?
I have something else.
What you got over there, James? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
We have this right here when we talk about the history of black and gray.
Yeah. So this is a book that
I'm
was
sure glad you thought of that.
this is a book that was 1,500 years in the making,
Pretty much.
right?
Yes.
You talk about gathering content from more than 15 artists. Man, we show up to our appointments sometimes on time, but when it comes to giving content to bookmakers, shit takes a long time. So, if you guys are interested in tattoo history, we got this available online. Good Time Charlie's.
Right there.
This is what is this book I'm holding in my hand? So this is you guys
This
got to
is,
watch
this is the Tattoo Nation video. Great documentary. I mean, I'd like it even if I didn't have any tattoos and didn't even know anything about tattoos, because it has all the important things that make a documentary good, and that it's very interesting. So again, even if you don't have any or even like them for a person, I mean, it's very, very interesting. It's funny. It's sad. It's entertaining. It keeps your interest, and it's a fascinating, just a really fascinating documentary.
And you don't
really
even have to,
well made.
Yeah, you don't even have to buy the CD. I think it's online.
You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's probably on YouTube. But Tattoo Nation, that's a great shortcut to learn history. If you really want to learn history and you're a book collector,
in their own writing.
yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, much of it is. Yeah.
So Jack's he's crazier than the average person. So Jack, Rudy, and
Yeah,
Charlie,
Bear.
they wrote. So this is all handwritten. So every page is handwritten. I don't know if you can see it.
Not
close up
every
on this.
page,
Let me get up over here.
But
real
a lot,
quick.
most of it is.
Let's do a shameless plug.
Especially
on
the
book.
stuff that me and Charlie did.
So
We just
this
did it in our
is-
own longhand, and yeah.
This is filled with pictures, with story. Man, I love this book. I mean, I feel like James and I feel like we have it memorized. I was going to say mesmerized, but that's
Some
not
of
a
the
bad
coolest.
word.
That's okay, too.
To
I'm
me,
mesmerized.
that was part of one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, and you kind of put me to the task, especially with learning how to tattoo. It was like, you need to know your elders. So getting the chance to go and sit with Jack, getting the chance to hang out with Charlie, and catch your guys' stories, not only written but firsthand account from you guys hanging out, has been one of the most amazing experiences. And to really understand what these guys have done and paved the way for, I recommend you see these guys at a convention. Whenever I come up, I always make sure that I come to say hi to Jack and do something stupid to get him to kind of laugh or look at me crazy.
James, what was one of the first things? So James, a lot of you guys don't know that James is an artist, and a pretty damn good artist. So over the years, he's been tinkering around with tattooing. He's one of the very few people, in my opinion, that have earned some of the stuff I give him as far as tattoo knowledge. But what's one of the first things I made you really understand working here at
Well,
Bishop?
it was, you got to know the history. You got to know the people who paved the way. I remember Jack, first time meeting Jack. I can't take you serious, Holmes. You don't have any tattoos.
Good point.
And
Exactly.
then I came in with my
It's-
back piece.
It's not like you can trust everybody with a tattoo, because you can't, obviously. But you definitely can't trust anybody without a tattoo.
In the tattoo industry.
Pretty much, especially in the tattoo
Exactly.
in the tattoo world.
Yeah.
Like, I can't take you serious,
That
Holmes.
just doesn't even make sense. It's like a vegan owning a steakhouse. It's not against the law, but why would a vegan want to own a steakhouse? It just don't make any sense.
And then he
Point
got his
made.
first tattoo. But yeah,
Yes, he did. He made up for it. 'Cause,
it was important, and you know what? Even with like Alexi Vatate and Letitia Wood, two of the artists that I apprenticed, is like I had them making old school tattoo needles. I had them smelling solder for weeks at a time, even though long bar needles were already out. And, this is before people used cartridges. I said, no, you gotta
way before.
you have to learn how to make needles. So look, just if you're out there tattooing, there's nothing wrong with diving into your craft and trying to become successful. Stay humble. How you stay humble is you really learn the history, because here's why. if you want to be humble, then you'll learn the history of tattooing. If you learn the history of tattooing, you'll realize that you're not all that cool. It was guys like him that paved the way. You're cool in the sense that you've learned your craft, you've dedicated hours and hours of becoming good, or you're in the process of doing that, and we love and respect you for that. But there's a big chunk where that coolness doesn't belong to you. There's a big chunk of whatever coolness I have doesn't belong to me. It belongs to guys like Jack, guys like Ed Hardy, guys like Creeper. It's all good. You just got to acknowledge that, stay humble. And again, just know your history and know your roots. We're going to talk a little bit more about some stuff, but I want to talk, speaking of history, we got this nice bottle of Nocturnal over here. This is not a shameless plug, by the way. There's a story behind this.
There usually is.
So the artwork was done by Sir Jack Rudy. We wanted it to look like an old meta. This was the only time I think that Jack allowed anyone to art direct him. And I felt guilty, but I knew when he saw the label, he would like it, which he did. So Nocturnal is a cool story of us, Bishop, myself, paying homage to the old school way. Jack's, to me, an old school black and gray tattoo artist that I've looked up to, that many people have looked up to and still do. Because he's not just old school, he's pretty freaking talented. Nobody does letters like Jack. And even if you try to copy him like I sometimes do, it just looks like a replica of the master. But I got with Jack on this project. I used to, when I first started tattooing, I used, good old Talons and Pelican ink. That was what everyone used. Yeah. And only problem with that is it tended to turn green over the years and stuff. So, but what we loved about it, it was very consistent and it was pretty dark, right? So when I started formulating Nocturnal, it had to be this dark ink that's still consistent like the Talons and Pelican. So I contacted good old Jack here to really help hone down the recipe. He would try some, because I knew he wouldn't just tell me what I wanted to hear. It's too thick. It's still too thick. It's thin, but not dark enough. Boom, we landed on the perfect recipe. Jack did the artwork. Jack is a part of Nocturnal. So, and he did the artwork for Nocturnal. So,
and I stay up late.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Which, it's hard to be nocturnal if you don't stay up late.
And that was why we called it Nocturnal. It was a story of artists staying up late guided by the nights, right? And Nocturnal, of course, being black. And this ink happens to be black. And it's only black and gray. So Nocturnal doesn't and probably will never make color ink because it just robs it. We would rob it of the story. I'm not a color artist. I'm black and gray. I can't do color. It's freaking hard. I don't know how you guys do it. But I do black and gray. Jack does black and gray. Nocturnal is a black and gray ink company. We have white.
It's the one we use, personally.
Yep, it's all we use. So if you're using Nocturnal, thank you. If you haven't tried Nocturnal yet,
try it.
Encourage you do.
Try it. You'll like it.
It's Jack Rudy approved. It's all I use. If you've seen James' back piece, it's probably one of my biggest pieces that I've done using only Nocturnal, because before that I was still using like a little bit of Pelican, a little bit of Dynamic, but that's all I've been using ever since we created this. So try it if you haven't. Again, Jack is part of the company, so when you guys buy a bottle of this, my man over here gets a little bit of piece of the action. And you know what? This is another note. Like a lot of these athletes, really quick, these athletes today, their contracts are hundreds of millions, some of them, tens of millions, some of them. But back in the days, Larry Bird, some of the old schoolers, they were not making tens of millions of dollars. Nike wasn't paying them hundreds of millions.
It was a second job.
These guys were barely making money, right? So it's important to know that, just like the athletes who are making all this money now, it's because those other guys sort of paid their dues and took the bullet for them, right? And they made this career hyped. So in the same way, Bishop I will always include guys like Jack in on this. And there's only a few of them left in the world, by the way. But Jack so happens to, he's going to live to be about 102, 103. Isn't that what you told me a long time ago?
Actually, it's more than that. But,
okay, he changed. Yeah, he's upped it since then. But
it's been the same number, but it's a big one. And hopefully that's going to work out.
It probably will.
We'll see,
because he chooses food slowly. But here's the thing. Jack's a part of it. It's a way of Bishop paying homage to the old school, including him on the project.
Hey, real quick, Laura has all of the family, all the kids out there. I just want to say, Laura, thank you for sharing Creeper with us and allowing him to be a part of our lives. And he's got the rest of the family. All the kids are looking. And so if there's anything that you'd like to say to the family. They would.
We love you guys. We appreciate you so much for just having Creeper as your father, as your husband, as your family member. You guys are lucky to have experienced him as a person, as an artist, in every way. I look at him, as a guy I wish I was able to hang out with more in life. And sadly, this reminds me that we never know when our time is up. So hug your loved ones, stay close to them as much as you can. It's a lesson we've learned in 2020 as a fucked up year that it's been. Stay close to those that love you and get rid of those that don't, because they will also poison you. But thank you, Laura. Thank you, family, for allowing us. This will live on. So this will be on YouTube. This story of Creeper will live on until the digital age is done, and then some. Jack, you got anything to say to the family?
Semper Fi, and gone too soon. And I hope you guys, can weather this storm good, and hopefully this will help in that effort, And I wish you guys nothing but the best in all your endeavors.
So please,
and I will miss Creeper for always.
Thank you guys for listening to our story. Thank you for listening to Jack Rudy's OG Talk. We'll have to do this more because we didn't get to touch on so many things. Jason, do you have anything to say? Last minutes.
Just want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you very much.
Do you have any tattoos on the arm by Creeper over there?
Yeah, it's all done by Creeper.
Let's show off some of Creeper's work. Let's
It's a little.
run over here real quick.
Run over there.
We got 30 seconds. Here, I'll have him put his hands right here. Let's show off a little bit of Creeper's black and gray. Look at that. That's pretty smooth right there. It's hard to get that consistency to stay, right?
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Most of it he drew on.
Freestyle.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah.
For all you out there using Procreate, it's all good, but Creeper didn't. Freehand. Master. That's cool. That's good stuff.
Very cool. That's
Thank you for showing
very, very cool old school stuff, man.
Heck yeah. You have some stuff on you that, safe to say, not very many people do, and no other person will. Thank you guys again. The link should be below.
Yeah, the link is on there.
I've never asked for any favors, but guys, if you love Bishop, if you love what we do, please do me the favor in honoring Creeper by buying a frame or a machine. It all goes to his family, and he was the breadwinner of the family, so this is really going to help the family out. Thank you guys again so much.
Yeah, so we have on the website, we do have the machines. Go ahead and show support to Creeper and his family. We also are stocked up with wands on the website. For anybody looking to join our SMS VIP list, please text Bishop VIP in the United States to 29071, and internationally +1 973 547 1071.
And if you guys are wondering what the fuck is going on with James's costume, tune into the Bishop. Tune into the Bishop.
Check out the story if you want to know what the party's really about.
But be careful; it's not for the faint of heart, as Jack will attest to.
Well, Jack, thank you so much for joining us, sir. It's always a pleasure. We absolutely always enjoy our conversations and spending time with you.
I'm glad to be part of it. I haven't been over here in a minute, and
now you can come over more often.
yes, except for your performance. Everything else was pretty cool.
Well, let's go have some lunch, Jack.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks
That's
again
probably
to
a
you
good idea.
all at home for tuning in. Hope you all have a wonderful and safe Halloween. Remember, if nobody loves you, Bishop's got you, and Chuco.
That
We
is
out.
true.
What he said.